Howdy guys, today I have another end of month wrap up for you. It's currently Thursday the 27th, so I do have a few days left. I have like 4 days left, so I am doing this a little bit early, but just so you know, I might end up finishing a book, but that doesn't seem realistic at the moment with what I'm reading, so a early wrap up for you. This month I read 6 books. A few of them were like graphic novels, just a short book and such, so yeah, here's what I read. The first 2 novels are the first 2 volumes of the new Suicide Squad comics. These are basically reboots of the Suicide Squad series, written by Adam Glass and some other people. The first volume is called Kicked in the Teeth and the second volume is called Basilisk Rising. I won't talk too much about these because I have a separate review on both of them, like a dual review, so when that's uploaded, keep an eye out for that. So yeah, basically this is set in the world of, I guess, Gotham, Batman's world, and it's focusing on the villains in that world. The Suicide Squad is a Black Ops team pretty much that are made up of all the baddest villains in Gotham City. They're kind of made to do suicide missions in order to reduce like jail time and stuff like that. So it follows them. The new 52 is like a whole new 52 series being re-released. They've all been scrapped since 2011 and just redone with new artists and new writers and stuff. I really enjoyed both of these and I do need to carry on because I think they have quite a few volumes out now. The first one I gave 5 stars and the second one I gave 4 stars. The next book is called Lord Loss by Darren Shan. This is my first Darren Shan book and I have the other 2 in this cycle series book. I gave this 3 stars. It kind of fell flat for me because I was really expecting like horror, like intense horror, and I didn't really get that. The only time I ever got that is in the very beginning sort of section of the book, and even that wasn't too excessive. It was just because it sounded quite normal and then all of a sudden something happened and I was like, oh, okay, that was kind of scary, but it wasn't really. If I read that in a horror story it would have been kind of boring. So this is about a kid mainly, and he's realising that he's being pushed away from the rest of his family and he doesn't know why. So it's kind of the mysterious events surrounding that. It doesn't really have a synopsis on this either, it's just like a little extract from part of the book. So I don't know, it's you know, it surrounds demons and monsters and stuff like that, and it obviously gets into that pretty early on in the book. I did think the story, plot and protagonists were pretty, you know, decent enough, but nothing really stood out to me. It wasn't exactly exceptional. It was a quick read, but no like major events really happened that enticed me to carry on with the rest of the books that I have, so I did just read this and then put it down after. I didn't carry on straight after. I mean, this novel was just okay. It just didn't grip me long enough. It didn't do anything bad, just wasn't as enticing as I was expecting. So not exactly disappointed, but I want to say crestfallen. I feel like that's worse than disappointed. You know what, I'm not going to say crestfallen. I just looked that up and apparently it means feeling shame or humiliation. I do not feel that. A little bit of that feeling for what I was expecting for my first Darren Shan book. The next book is a steampunk version of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I gave this 5 stars and I've gone in so much detail on my Goodreads review. Basically, really loved the story, really enjoyed this mix of gothic romance literature. It was beautifully written, really interesting, beautifully sad. Obviously Frankenstein follows the story of Victor Frankenstein on his almost obsession to gain the power of God in a way. He really wants to create something that he should not be creating, and the kind of emotions he's feeling on the way to that and after he's done what he's done. And it also follows his creations story as well. So the story obviously was awesome. At the time it must have been horrifying, scary. Reading it now in today's society it's not as scary as it probably could have been, but the story generally is beautifully written, really good. The thing that I didn't enjoy and that I didn't want to affect the 5-star rating, because the story is awesome, it was the steampunk aspect, and I'm really disappointed in it because I love steampunk and I love gothic literature, right? So I thought, oh, that's going to be an awesome mix, but no, it just didn't mix well with this story. Like, I think it could have worked maybe if the illustrations were drawn, hand-drawn, but it just, I don't know if you can see that, but it just looks naff. Let me try and find the really stupid one. Basically, the background to the images look great. It's just the models in it. It looks ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. All of them have steampunk goggles on it. It does not suit the time period. It doesn't suit the book. It doesn't suit the story. It looks absolutely ridiculous. Like this picture here, that looks awesome. That looks fine. That's beautiful. That's fine. But it's just like this. It looks ridiculous. Like, obviously the models have been superimposed on a background and it just looks fake. It just looks silly, and I don't think they needed to make this edition. But it is nice to have as a collector's copy. It's nice to have, I don't know, if you're interested in steampunk and you're interested in Gothic literature. It's just, it doesn't make sense together. It's just a bit ridiculous. But yeah, nevertheless, it didn't affect my 5-star rating. I did enjoy the story. It's just the concept of the steampunk aspect with it didn't work very well at all. The second to last book I read is called Isle of the Lost by Melissa de la Cruz, and oh my god, this was actually pretty good. I mean, I only gave it 3 stars, but I really did enjoy it. Apparently some people have said it doesn't feel like a middle grade book, but I feel like it does feel like a middle grade book. I can tell that it is targeted at a slightly younger audience, but the author's writing is very witty enough that it kept me entertained, even in parts without dialogue. It was really, really good, and I'm so excited that they're turning this into a movie. I think it's already out in America. I think UK's getting it in September, and also apparently I think they're making a cartoon after the film, if I read correctly. I think it said they're making a mini TV series on Disney, and that's called Descendants, because Isle of the Lost is a Disney Descendants story, so it follows all the villains in the Disney universe, and basically they've all been placed on this island called the Isle of the Lost, warded off without magic, placed under a dome away from the United States of Auradon, which is where all the other fairy tale characters live, like Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, all of them, they all live there. Oh, Belle and Beast rather. So they have been, you know, sectioned off to stop their havoc and everything like that. And they have been there for about 20 years and they have children. So that's one thing I was a little bit confused on. How do they have children? Because they don't talk very much about the other partner. But anyway, that regardless, it's an awesome book. So we're following the descendants, and it's just really, really awesome. I felt like it had a feel of, you know, the Ever After High dolls. It reminded me of them. I just loved the feel of it, how we're following evil villains that we've grown up with. We're following their story. I just thought it was really, really cool. Really enjoyed the first 5 chapter titles because it was like a continuation of a sentence. That was really nifty, and I had to read back and be like, oh, that's one sentence, that's really cool. All the characters had really interesting personalities. We're following Mal, who's the daughter of Maleficent. There's one that's the son of Jafar from Aladdin, Carlos who's the son of Cruella de Vil, and Evie, who's the daughter of the evil queen. So we're following 4 children. I think they're all like 15 or 16 or something. And yeah, it's really awesome because they all have really interesting personalities and strong personalities, like regarding how they talk to people and all that. If I could find one issue, it'd be like, this story isn't going to make sense with all the multiple movie recreations of these villains. For example, this story and the way it's written about all these characters being evil and staying evil, that's not going to make sense with the Maleficent film with Angelina Jolie, because obviously that's her origin story and you see that she's good and everything like that. So it's not going to make sense with some things, but it makes sense with the original Disney cartoon films, and I really did enjoy it. This is worth a go for anybody who likes a bit of Disney in their life. And the last thing I read was a graphic novel ebook that I got for like a read for review free thing from NetGalley that I've mentioned before. This is called Ragnarok by Walter Simonson, and it's volume 1, Last God Standing. I gave it a 1.5 stars out of 5 stars, and it's because it wasn't for me. It's kind of following Thor, but he's not the Thor as we know it. It's like following Norse mythology pretty much, and I feel like the beginning people that we were reading their point of view from or whatever doesn't continue for as long. Like, you make a connection almost, but then it disappears and you're following someone else. It it wasn't for me, it really wasn't. I found it very difficult to follow. It was completely fast paced but really difficult to understand what was going on. It really lacked character development, which meant that when I was reading it I had little to no motivation. And although the art style is really awesome, I think it follows more of the traditional comic book style that we don't really see that much today. It just, the plot didn't pick up right until like the end. It kind of had a little bit of credibility to it, but it just didn't really do much for me. I'm really upset because, as I said, I really enjoy like all kinds of mythology and I thought this would be interesting. I love graphic novels as well, but this one definitely wasn't for me. So yeah, 1.5 stars I'm afraid. Anyway, that is it for my wrap up. I'm hoping to do something new, another kind of wrap up, but something new. That should be with you a couple of days into September probably. So yeah, look out for that, I suppose. Anyway, thanks very much for watching and I shall speak to you in another video soon. Bye.